Welcome back to the No Money Real Estate Podcast. And today I'm going to do an entire show and I'm not going to talk at all about real estate, but I'm going to tell you how I've made millions of dollars in my life.
Hey, my name's Ken Dunn, and I'm a real estate investor. I want to welcome you to the No Money Real Estate Podcast. On this show, I'm going to interview elite level real estate investors from all over North America, and I'm going to help you to see one thing that all successful real estate investors have in common. They built their portfolios without using a dime of their own money. I've got a portfolio of $300 million in real estate. That includes resorts, apartment buildings, commercial buildings, and I've built the entire portfolio without using a dime of my own money. Real estate is a business that anybody can get into, but the strategies that those tight real estate investors use to build massive portfolios have been kept secret for decades. Now, because of this show, I'm going to reveal them to you. So let's get started.
Here's the reality of this podcast show that you're seeing right now, or you're hearing. The only reason I'm doing this is that my video manager and my right hand, really, her name is Danny. She's a rock star. She's going away on vacation. And she told me that I needed to do another video for her for the podcast so she can edit it before she goes. I mean, that's the power of being really good at what you do, is that she can tell me what to do. So we're going to talk for the next 20 or 30 minutes. I'm not really quite sure what I'm going to talk about, to be honest with you. The thing that I thought that I get into with you right now is just some general things that I've realized about myself that have really helped me to make millions and millions of dollars. Like when I think about my businesses and the money that I make in those businesses and the success that I've had in my life, you know, I could sit here right now and talk to you about business leadership skills, and I could talk to you about how I manage people and how I come up with the idea of things that I want to sell and how I get people to buy those things. I could do that stuff all day, but you know what I thought would be even better than that? What if I spent a couple minutes and talked to you about the personality things that I've mastered? You've ever heard that saying, hindsight is 20/20? Looking back at things, it's always easier to know what to do than looking forward. Making decisions on where you're going can be some of the scariest shit in the world because you don't really know where you've been. Well, hindsight's 20/20, so I can look back now. So today, as we're talking about this, I own 8 businesses. I have 3 of those businesses that are pre-revenue, which means they're not making any money yet. So I'm going to talk about the 4 businesses that are making money. I own a manufacturing company that literally is making about $800,000 a month. So it'll do about $10 million in revenue this year. I own a training company that's probably going to do about $6 million in revenue this year. I own another company that's basically a consumer services installation company. We install EV chargers, and that company is going probably to make the most money of any of the businesses that I own. When I'm thinking about what I'm going through right now in my businesses, I don't know if you'd even believe this or not, but I'm under immense amounts of stress all the time, every day. And I know with the amount of stress that I'm under and the decisions I'm making every day and the consequences of those decisions I'm making every day, that I have to stay with it. I have to keep my head in the game all the time. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple things that really help me to do that. And the first thing I want to talk to you about, when I think about like all the personal skills that I have in my life today and what's really helping me to excel at the levels that I am, I have to tell you, the first thing that I want to share with you is stress management. Most people that are listening to this podcast right now are not making as much money as they want to make in their lives. Most people that are listening to this podcast are struggling with debt, and they're under stress because they're struggling with debt, and they've got all kinds of issues going on. And one thing I will tell you all, have you ever heard the old saying, money is the root of all evil? I think reality isn't far off that. And I want everybody to be wealthy. I want you to be wealthy, but I want you to get really good at managing stress now because it's only going to get worse. So right now, if I look at all my businesses, I probably am responsible for $4 or $5 million every month. And that's growing. And none of our resorts are even open yet. When that happens, our first resort, the Hay Bay Resort, is going to open in the spring of 2025. We're going to have 80 employees there when we're at full complement. The Lake St. Peter Resort, our second resort, is going to open in September of 2025. We're going to have 20 employees up there. Our training company is going to keep growing. It's going to have 50 employees. So by the end of 2025, I'm going to have 200 employees. You know the old saying, right? More animals in the barn, more doo-doo to deal with. That's really what it's all about. And so, yeah, I want you to make more money in your life, but what I want you to realize is how you're handling stress today. I want you to become really great at operating in spite of the stress that you're under and being excellent at it. Now, doing really good at operating the stress you're under isn't done the way you're probably doing it now. Most people, when it comes to stress and stressful things in their lives, you know what they do? They ignore them. They just try to avoid even dealing with those things. And that is not the answer to it. I remember before I cracked the nut and made my first $1 million, I was under a boatload of stress. I had creditors calling me. I had credit cards that were maxed out. I had loans that were maxed out. I mean, we went through that stuff. And I always remembered that even in the darkest days when I owed the most money to people and to the banks, I would always take their calls. And I would just reason with them right up front. And I would negotiate or conversate my way through even the most complicated financial situations that I was in today. So the piece of advice that I have, if you want to master dealing with stress in your life, number one is don't avoid it. I would say it would really help you. And what really helps me is I've figured out a couple things that I do every day in my life that help me to reduce my stress levels when I'm getting started in my day. I start off every day with doing something that gets my heart pumping a little faster. Lately, I've just gone out for a walk in the mornings, but I'll get in phases where I go to the gym every morning. I'll get in phases where I go running every single day. But I want to do something that really escalates my heart rate early in the morning. Why? Because when you're escalating your heart rate, you're burning off a lot of those hormones that lead to stress in your body. So it actually helps you by doing that. It helps you to calm down and manage through the rest of the day better. So do something early on in your day that you get your heart pumping. The second thing is start reading books regularly or start listening to podcasts. Think about the value you're getting from this podcast if you're a regular listener of it, the things that you've learned as we've gone on this journey together. Well, it's that constant learning and developing that you're doing in your life that you're going to really start to understand how much it can help you deal with the stressful things in your life. I could go on talking about stress for the next 5 hours. But the next thing I want to switch gears now, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about being a consummate learner. Here's another incredibly important piece to my success principles. You ever heard the old saying, you're the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with? Well, I do things in my life today that constantly expose me to better quality people. I truly believe, I think one of the most important personal development or business development mindsets that you can have is understanding that as you evolve and you make more money and you get better, use some of that money to get closer to smarter people. I'll give you an example. The Real Estate Investor Summit that my company does every year, we hire some of the greatest speakers in the world to speak at our events, people that I personally admire. And every one of those speakers that my company has hired to speak at those events, I literally get their cell phone numbers and stay in touch with them. So today I have a personal relationship with Kevin O'Leary, with Michelle Romano, with Mike Holmes, with Barbara Corcoran, and many, many other people of that caliber. And I have friendships that are coming out of those relationships now. And a couple of those people I'm even getting into businesses with. But I get to spend time with them. I talk to them privately and I learn from listening to them. So they become like pseudo mentors to me in that friendship. I am constantly trying to do things to keep learning. I pay personally to go to live events every year. I just bought 4 tickets to a major conference that's happening in Toronto, Canada in the spring. It's a gold mining conference. So all of the biggest companies in the gold mining industry in the world are all coming to Toronto. 1 ticket costs $5,000 and I just bought 4 of them. I'm taking me and the 2 guys that run the gold mine for me there and 1 other person on my team to go to this event for 3 days so I can learn. If you're going to succeed in business, when you start making money, start learning more. Go out there and do things to learn more in your life. Go out there and offer your services in situations where it can get you around people that know more than you and learn from them. So mastering stress, hugely important. Become a lifetime learner. Constantly look for ways to learn more in your life. And the last thing I'm going to tell you about is you got to be a risk taker. In fact, I should have started with this. This might be the most important one. If you're going to succeed in life, in business, you got to be willing to take risks. Have you ever been in a situation where you've been invited by a friend to try something new, something that makes you uncomfortable? How did you respond to that? Maybe it was a colleague. Maybe it was something at work. Maybe all your friends were going skydiving and they asked if you wanted to go with them. Maybe you had the chance to, go snorkeling with crocodiles. I don't know what it is. But we're all presented with things every single day that are outside of our comfort zone and that make us nervous and make us scared. When you're in that situation, how do you react to it? Do you do it? Do you pursue it? Or do you back away from it? I think probably the most important skill, if I was maybe I'll do that, taking risks. How do you get yourself into a mindset where you take risks? Maybe I'll do some type of an event around that. The risk takers, the rabble-rousers. Those are the people that do the best in life, the people that are willing to take risks. Let me give you one quick example as we finish up here. Elon Musk. When Elon Musk sold PayPal and walked away from it, he was given $300 million. Do you know what he did with that money? He used $80 million of it and launched a company called Solar City, which is one of the biggest, solar energy companies. They're building tiles, shale tiles for roofs. They're doing all kinds of that stuff. He took $100 million or $120 million and he launched Tesla. And he took the rest, another $130 million, and he launched SpaceX. He took 100% of the money that he made from PayPal, and he started these 3 companies that weren't making any money. And by doing that, he couldn't even afford a house. He rented a 1-bedroom apartment after he had sold PayPal. Why is Elon Musk the richest man in the world today? Because he has the biggest set of kahunas. He's willing to take the most risks. Now, there's educated risks. It's taking risks with the experience to make sure that the risk will pay off. And we'll talk about that in another episode. But this is my impromptu podcast because Danny told me to do it. I don't know how this is going to come out. If you appreciated this raw chat about some things I think are very important in being successful in life, just go into the notes of this show, into the comments, and give me some feedback. And if you really like this, I'll do more of it. If you think this was the stupidest video you've ever heard from me, then tell me that in the chat, and I promise you I'll never do it again. We'll see you soon.